Hello, welcome back to Umineko. We're doing it.
Hello.
We're doing it again. You can't escape it.
Not for 100 hours at least.
Oh fuck. I just it just really hit that yeah, it's gonna be about 100 hours, huh?
100 great hours of
Content.
uminecking.
Umineko. Alright. By the way,
This
Natsu.
guy.
Yeah, this
Oh,
fucker.
sorry.
It's alright. By the way, Nasan, how's your headache been lately? It seemed pretty serious before. And then I was Natsuhi, right?
Yeah.
I've been much better lately. Thank you for your concern. Right here. A present for you, Natsuhi-san. Thank you very much. I'm always receiving gifts from you. This black tea. It's herb tea, with peppermint and lemon balm. It's a blend from a well-known store, and it's supposed to be good for headaches. I thought it might help you too. Is that my voice for Rosa?
Something like that, yeah.
Alright. Rosa was always a conscientious woman, probably because she was the youngest of four and much younger than the other three. She managed to grow up without gaining the venomous nature of her siblings. Her kind words got Natsuhi to soften her expression for just a moment. It wasn't enough to melt her stony gaze, hardened as it was by long years of mental stress.
Come to think of it, you're always complaining about those headaches. Pull yourself together. Jessica-chan has her exams this year, right? It's going to be a turning point in her life. Will she really be able to rely on you as a mother if you're like that?
Jesus fucking Christ, I forgot how much of a bitch she is. God damn!
You'll see so much more. I have to finish laughing for a minute. Besides, Natsuhine-san, you're 3 years younger than me. You should get your act together.
I apologize. I've had a tendency for headaches all my life. Even under normal circumstances, Ava sometimes failed to choose her words carefully. Her comments aimed at Natsuhi contained shards of obvious malice, though she hid it with a smile. Of course, that fact didn't escape Natsuhi. She frantically contained her urge to grimace and pretended to ignore Ava.
Ava's just said skill issue. Our battler-kun will have his exams this year too. Rudolph-san, should you be a little concerned as well? For the sake of your own son, you'd better get serious to the point of having headaches like Natsuine-san.
If I say anything, he automatically rebels. So what should I say? Should I say the opposite? It's okay for him to mess around? It's probably the only way I can get him to listen to me. Yoshi-Nisan, George did really well in his exams, right? Please, you've got to teach me the trick to handling children. Well, probably because I got him to understand why he should study. Study isn't worth anything on its own. That's right, the real point of studying is to practice research and stuff on your own whenever you bump into something you don't know. Can't do that, you can't be useful to society. I'm not talking about math or writing. You gotta learn how to learn.
Based.
Splendid. I wish our Jessica could understand that as well. If she is to be the heiress of the Ushiromiya family, then at this rate...
Do you really have to force her into becoming the successor? After all, a woman has to find a woman's happiness. Parents shouldn't force such things on their children, don't you think?
Hold your horses, Ava. Each family has its own way of raising their kids. You shouldn't be pushy.
I'm sorry. Natsuhine-san, don't take it the wrong way. Headache sound.
Though the light shining in through the window was quite warm, despite the cloudy weather, there was a dark mood about the room, which was probably causing headache for more than just Natsuhi. As if to sweep away that mood, Kyrie brightly made a suggestion to all present.
Still, this black tea has a really lovely aroma. Let's drink it right away. In Japan, surely you couldn't find something like Leopold's black tea anywhere but Ginza, right?
I see you know a lot about it, Kyrie-san. I guess it was worth going to the trouble of buying it. Kyrie and Rosa stood up from the seats and made as if to prepare the black tea. Natsuhi forestalled them. Thank you both, but we can try that later. One of our people will soon be coming to bring some tea. So please, relax. Leave it for later, you two. Let's enjoy our welcome drink. Rudolph gave a subtle signal for his eyes for them to sit down again. Kyrie and Rosa understood instantly and obediently returned to their seats. The initial greeting of the guests was complete, so it was time for them to be served some tea. It was embarrassing for the hosts that the tea was late, especially now that the guests were talking about making tea themselves. Natsuhi bit her lower lip, frustrated by the ineptitude of the servants who were late bringing in the tea. Seeing her face, Eva immediately started to giggle. Of course, Shannon had no way of knowing what was taking place in the parlor. She came pushing a serving cart piled with teacups. For no apparent reason, Natsuhi gave her a pained look, and Shannon couldn't help but flinch without knowing what she had done wrong.
Customer service voice. Excuse me. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was making sure you were doing Shannon. I couldn't remember.
Your tea is ready.
Oh, Shannon, it's been a while. You keep getting prettier every time I see you.
Oh, thanks.
Save the chatting for after you set the table. Tea will get cold.
I apologize, madam.
She apologized like a small, frightened animal, bumped against the serving cart, and made a jarring racket as she dropped several teaspoons. Clumsiness made Natsuhi's expression turn even darker, which made Shannon quail even more.
Come on, Natsuhine-san. There's nothing wrong with her exchanging a few words in greeting. The tea must be plenty cold already, considering how long we've been kept waiting. There's no need to worry. It's not cold yet.
Shannon, finish setting the table quickly.
I'm sorry, madam.
Natsuhi's irritation was obvious by now. The ineptitude that delayed the tea, the clumsiness of the servant, everything pointed to the incompetence of Natsuhi's everyday leadership, making her lose face. As the person in charge of the Ushiromiya head family's kitchen, allowing that clumsiness to be exposed, today of all days, was surely nothing less than total humiliation.
Oh, by the way, I've heard some talk about that line, in charge of the family's kitchen. It's basically just it refers to someone who's in charge of managing the house and not necessarily like just the kitchen.
Hold on, I'm checking something out real quick.
You gotta make sure it's still recording.
Not that. I'm trying to make sure I've been pronouncing "nay" right.
Yeah, you have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the website that I went to that was supposed to tell me if I wasn't.
I'll try. I can also try and help out.
Lay off, Natsuhi-ne-san. Don't you think it's a little harsh to bully Shannon-chan when she's trying her best? I'm not bullying anyone.
What a nice aroma. May I ask what brand this is? Mm, I am terribly sorry. I'll find out for you later.
Rie was trying to be nice, hoping to cut through the tense mood. However, Shannon had embarrassed herself instead, darkening Natsuhi's face in the room's mood. At this point, Ava was audibly giggling.
Oh god. What's this? Shannon-chan, don't you even know what you're pouring us? Come on now. You mustn't serve something so suspicious to guests. We'll need a silver spoon at the very least before we can drink this. I'm sorry. I'll go get one immediately. Shannon-chan, do you know what silver spoons are used for? They have to be silver. Do you know why? No,
A teasing smile rose to Ava's face as she stared at Shannon, setting the table. Itself, Ava's expression was sweet in an impish sort of way. However, words being spun from her lips held the keenness of a razor within them. Shannon tried with all her might to avoid Ava's continuing gaze. Realizing that Shannon was hard-pressed for an answer, Rosa gave some timely help. Say that if... Get your fucking fan out of my face. They say that if silver is touched by poison, it darkens. So you've learned something today, Shannon-chan. We're acting as though this tea needed to be tested for poison before it could be drunk. In Natsuhi's eyes, this was an insult both to the tea and to herself for serving it. Rudolph laughed flippantly and patted Ava's shoulder. Silver cutlery wouldn't do any good for you, Anake. Just one lick of your poisonous tongue and even a silver plate would turn pitch black. Since I get to hear that poison tongue every day, I must be poison-proof myself by now. Ava, I don't mind when you use it on me, but you better hold back when talking to people who haven't built up a resistance.
Hi, how cruel. All I did was teach Shannon-chan a little about tea, didn't I?
Hold on. Making sure. Alright, good. Everyone followed the lead set by Hideyoshi's horse laugh and chuckled, though not easily. Only Natsuhi didn't join in. For the time being, the conversation inside the parlor could now be mistaken for a lively and friendly chat. As Shannon finally finished setting the tea table and tried to leave, Kyrie apologized to her in a low voice for not being able to help. Shannon gave a light bow and made a hasty retreat. Shannon cast her eyes downward as she pushed the cart down the corridor. Anyone seeing the pitiful way she looked might easily conclude that she'd been bullied in some way.
Don't be sad. You didn't do anything wrong, my son. You were watching. That is my role. Madam and Eva-sama can go to hell. But the worst coward is that guy.
Shannon glared hatefully in the opposite direction of the parlor.
Hey, who do you think that guy is?
What?
Who do you think that guy is?
Goda. What? I'm confused.
You know how Kanon said the worst coward is that guy.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm missing a joke and I feel really dumb.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just asking you who you think it is.
Oh, it's Goda. I've read this before.
Hmm.
The preparations for the tea had been delayed by some trifling problems in the kitchen. These problems were not Shannon's fault. In fact, it had been Goda's mistake. After all, there was no way a show-off like Goda would give up a flashy job like bringing in tea when the guests arrived. It ended up wasting time preparing the tea once again. When he realized he wouldn't be able to score any points for this job, he pushed the task of setting the table on Shannon, who happened to be passing by. You might call it a clever move on his part. There could be no doubt that it was a cowardly one.
It's okay, Kanon-kun. Thanks. I'm not bothered by it at all.
And Silent vividly expressed the distance between Shannon's words and how she actually felt.
Thank you. Even if you're the only one who understands, I feel a bit better. You keep your feelings too bottled up, Ne-san. You should be less hard on yourself for once. Yeah. Thanks.
Suddenly, they both felt someone's presence and whirled around. A middle-aged man stood there. It was Genji, head servant. What are you doing there? Shannon, I'll be back to the kitchen.
Yes. If you'll excuse me.
Shannon humbly obeyed and promptly made to push the cart and leave. However, Shannon appealed to Genji in silence, hearing something in his eyes that he could not express in words. What is it? Something happened.
Shannon didn't do anything wrong. But even so, they, them, Shannon? Holy shit. Stop it, Kanon-kun. Please excuse me. I'll return to work immediately. Kanon-kun, you should go back to your post too. Please. If you say so, Ne-san.
If that is all, go.
Yes. If you'll excuse me.
From the shadows in the hallway, an old woman wearing an apron watched over them. It was Kumasawa.
Poor Shannon-san. Kanon-san. There's no reason for those two to be picked on. Still, Goda-san's dislike for them is an undeniable fact. Until Goda-san was taken in by the Ushiromiya head family, I heard he worked for a fabulous hotel somewhere. The manner of work he learned there was quite impressive, I believe. It's just that Goda-san is the newest servant here. He must have a lot of pride accumulated from his previous positions. Because Shannon-san and Kanon-kun are his seniors here at the mansion, and yet are inexperienced and have gone through so much less in life than he has, he picks on them at every chance he gets. And also, sad as it may be, they're disliked by Madame Natsuhi too. Of course, if we're talking about experience. The Madam has... The Madam has been in his family much longer. And yet, this is one point where I cannot help but sympathize with the Madam as well. Truly, the Master is a man with many sins on his conscience. Why didn't he realize that such a trifling of his would give the Madam such an inferiority complex? Of course, on the inside, even the Madam is fully aware that those two don't deserve to be treated so harshly. However, the heart has reasons that reason knows not. I feel so sorry for them. I can't do anything but watch over them from the shadows. It's noon.
The four of us cousins were enjoying our stories, just shooting the breeze. Anyway, we're both girls and guys here. Plus, we have people over a wide spread of ages. Adults, high school, and elementary school. Even if we just talked about our own lives, the other three kept listening intently. I think I'm finally getting used to all this. Jessica and Maria have grown more than I could have imagined the past 6 years. To be honest, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable, but talking like this, I guess that on the inside, nothing's really changed since back then. I agree. You haven't changed up even after 6 years. Even though your body's gotten gigantic, you're still a kid inside.
I'm a kid too. I'm a kid too.
Well, even you aren't going to be a kid forever, are you, Maria? I mean, you're going to transform from a kid into a cute...
I know what's coming up.
I just love the... Oh, fuck. From a kid into a cute young lady, aren't ya? When that happens, that flat as a board chest will reach Jessica's level, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also remembered that this was gonna happen, but still, when that happens, you gotta let me touch him, okay? It's a promise!
That you touch him. Promise.
No, Maria-chan! You can't make that kind of promise. That's bad, bad, bad.
I promise, so I'll let him touch him. I keep my promises. Always keep them.
I love her serious face while saying this. Maria, you really are an earnest good girl. The guy you marry is gonna be really lucky. Hey, stop trying to change the subject by making it sound pretty. Maria, that promise never happened. Never.
The promise is cancelled?
As I thought, without Battler-kun and our little quartet, this group of cousins just didn't feel complete. These 6 years have been kind of lonely. That's true. We didn't really goof off like this. Still, we did have some pretty constructive conversations, right? Stuff about preparing for our future, exam taking, and jobs. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now that I'm here, we just talk about stupid stuff and mess around.
But I'm having more fun this year.
That's true, I agree. This is the most fun yet. Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone present. Georgia Aniki stroked Maria's head and she giggled like a happy kitten.
Cat Gramaria. Pardon me. Your meal is ready.
Timid knocking sound and the equally timid voice of a young woman came through the door.
Oh no.
Just remembered what's coming up.
Again.
Jessica answered brightly. Shannon, come in. Remember Battler, right? Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. There stood a servant girl who must have been around about our age.
It's been quite some time since we last met, Battler-sama. It's me, Shannon.
I think your entire "it's nice to see you after 6 years" just cut out.
It's nice to see you after 6 years. It's me, Shannon.
There was just a pause and then, "It's me, Shannon." Trembling a little as she noticed me, she bowed deeply. Ah, Jessica had me surprised, but look at you, Shannon-chan. You've turned into a total beauty too, haven't you?
Kate, you're too kind.
Still, the food on this island must be really nutritional, huh? What are you eating and how are you training to get boobs that big?
I'm taking notes.
I hate that sprite. I hate that sprite.
Jump scare.
I hate that sprite so much. It's so awful.
It only shows up maybe 2 times? I don't know.
Oh
Why do they
god.
have to make it?
Guess I'll have to feel him a bit and see whether yours or Jessica's are bigger, okay? With both hands poised and saliva dribbling from my mouth, I closed in. For the sake of justice and my personal honor, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from strange disease that makes my lymph nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, and which can only be prevented by fondling breasts. This is just a Butler-style method of communication. If I slowly close in on her like this, odds are 8 or 9 out of 10 that I get slapped or clobbered, right? So I can use this Battler-sama original technique to spark a gag like that and break the ice. Oh, well, it also means I really do get to touch them on that 1 in 10 chance though, right? Yeah, like that never happened.
Jump scare.
At that point, my hands were less than a centimeter away from Shannon Chan's boobs. But the counter-strike had yet to come. I guess she prefers Rainbow Six.
What?
The game Counter-Strike.
Sorry, I'm not as much as a gamer.
No, it's okay.
I just read visual novels.
She blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment when she realized what was going on. She just stood there with both hands politely joined in front of her, not even trying to resist or cover her breasts. Hey, I wasn't planning on this! Please hit me now, right now, I'm seriously gonna... Fuck! Which is why I was glad that Jessica chose that time to drive her elbow into the back of my head. I blacked out. They had to rush me to the hospital.
Which was really inconvenient because we were on an island and there was no boat to be found.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Why the hell are you thanking me? Seriously, my bad, Shannon Chen. I almost got overwhelmed by your hypnotic blast. More importantly, anyone who gets that close has gotta be a molester. Gotta fight back when people do that.
But you are an important guest, Battler-sama.
Wow. I would love it if Battler's reaction was just, wow, you are traumatized, huh? Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
Now look here, a pervert's a pervert whether he's a guest or not. A girl's chest has got an air defense identification range of about 10 centimeters or so. Once someone trespasses within 2 centimeters, that's already an invasion of airspace. So you'd better scramble the jets immediately and give them an instant slap.
I couldn't do such a thing. Because we are, furniture.
So, the fact that Shannon it made it clear that Shannon was just embarrassed and not disgusted means one of two things. One, that this has happened before enough times where she isn't instantly disgusted and recoils in fear, which is very worrying. Or the second option, which I'm gonna choose to believe, because I like to imagine Shannon isn't as deeply traumatized as she probably is that she thought, am I really that upset if Battler gropes me? And she decided, no, I'm not that upset about it. I'm gonna choose to believe it's the latter because it's a much funnier option.
It is. I guess. But yeah, no comments.
Of course she didn't want her breasts touched. If a guest so desired, she was prepared to sacrifice herself to suit their wants. A girl like this needs some urgent protection. Here's a gun.
Yeah.
I think such devoted girls still existed in this era. Enough to make a man dizzy. No! Ow! I'm coming at you with a perverted face again! Knock me down! Look out, pervert on the loose! This gag can't end until you deliver the punchline, so slap me! Please, hit me!
I I cannot fulfill your request because I'm furniture. But if it were an order, I'd obey you because that's my duty.
Jesus Christ, girl, you need help. Then I'll make it an order. The next time Battler Karen tries to touch your breasts, counterattack with a slap. Got it?
Yes, as you wish. From now on, that's what I'll do. Please understand, Battler-sama.
Shannon announced this while bowing elegantly to me. Her expression was radiant. I gave her a thumbs up to show her I was fine with that. 6 years ago, you might have been mistaken for a servant's daughter who lent a hand at your parents' work. Now you're a full-fledged adult servant. How long have you been working here?
Well, I've had the pleasure of serving this household for about 10 years.
He's Nick. Do you like that running joke?
It's pretty funny.
Here you are.
A young but experienced servant. She's normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. Furthermore, Shannon is nothing more than a pseudonym that she uses when on duty, not her real name.
Love that she got the one-winged eagle. I keep almost saying one-winged angel.
Is that from something else?
Yeah, it's from Final Fantasy. That's what they call Sephiroth, and that's like his.
Okay.
That's like his theme song. Which, if you haven't
Okay.
heard the one-winged angel, you should. Wait, have you never heard it?
I have not, I don't think.
Holy shit! Pausing the recording. Give me a second.
Are we back on air?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to pause the recording so I can show Rena one-winged angel.
Yeah, it slaps.
Yeah, it goes so fucking hard. Anyway, back to Umineko.
I choose to believe that Shannon's tattoo is fake. I have no idea how a 16-year-old would get a tattoo in Japan, and how well, actually, I guess this particular 16-year-old, because just living on Rokkenjima, and also I don't know if Kinzo would be too happy to have. I don't know if Kinzo or actually anyone in the family would be too happy to have servants with tattoos.
You really don't think that this girl who has been working as a servant since 6 years old, you don't think would go up to Kinzo and be like, Master Kinzo-sama, I want to show my eternal dedication to the Uchinomiya family, and by doing so, I want to get a tattoo of the family's one-winged eagle. I think Kinzo would be like, "You alright? Yeah, prove your fucking loyalty. Alright."
Well, it's why I say this is more to do with the taboo around tattoos, and also I don't think any tattoo artist in the right mind would tattoo her.
I think
at least maybe not without Yakuza ties or something.
And you really think Kinzo doesn't have Yakuza ties?
I really do.
Like, I think Homie has ties to everything.
He has ties to a lot, but I think that he values. I think that he would value her wearing the symbol rather than tattooing it, like wearing it on her clothes.
It is very funny to imagine, like, every day or whatever, Shannon carefully applying the temporary tattoo that she has thousands of.
The color looks a lot like henna, or it's close to the color of henna, so it could be something like that.
True.
And you can use a stencil.
Do you think she maybe it's a stick and poke?
I gotta know who on Rokkenjima stick and poked her.
I don't know. I feel like one of the many suffix ons servants. At least one of them has to like be like, "Hey, ever got a stick and poke?"
This is so funny to think about. But this is the same reason I think Ava's tattoo is fake.
Maybe Ava and Shannon got it together, got the tattoos together.
Body activity.
maybe one, they were once really close and they got matching one-winged eagle tattoos, and then something happened and they fell apart. Oh,
Hold on. I need a second.
it
Okay.
really got you.
Okay, I'm good. Continue.
The kanji for her name are read as Shannon. Now here's another name that's far from typical for a Japanese person. Back in the day, I was a kid myself, so I accepted her name without paying it much attention. Thinking about it now, though, her name's pretty unusual, even though she's not a member of the Usuromiya family. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something. If so, that might explain why her name's so similar to Kanon-kun, that kid I met earlier in the Rose Garden. She's a long-term servant who's served here since she was 6 years old. Her appearance has changed so much that I couldn't match her to the person of my memories, but we both knew each other 6 years ago. The shy part of her has always been there. She did seem to have developed the allure you'd expect of a girl her age. Creepy thing to say. Especially in her breasts. Yes, creepy thing to say. That kid we met earlier, Kanon-kun, is her little brother.
He's not exactly my little brother. Still, he loves me like a big sister. He didn't cause you any trouble, did he?
He's the same as always. If only he were just a bit more sociable.
I apologize if he's caused you any trouble.
Nah, he didn't cause any trouble at all. As a fellow man, I understand how moody you can get at that age. No surprise he's unsociable.
I get called that all the time too. I get called unsociable. Just like Kanon.
What a queen.
Real. You aren't unsociable at all, Arya-sama. Wanted to be like him.
You said the meal was ready, right?
Ah, yes. I'm sorry. Your meal has been fully prepared, so please allow me to guide you all to the mansion.
Shannon bowed again formally and returned to her duty mode. We realized that if we made her stick around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. We got off our butts to avoid interfering with her work any further. So shall we go to the mansion? Everyone's probably hungry, right? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Goda-san's food. That guy was apparently a chef at this famous hotel, so he's super good at cooking. Ooh, I can't wait. Let's go, Maria. We're gonna stuff ourselves like pigs.
Stuff ourselves like pigs.
No, you can't take everything Badler-kun so seriously, okay? Because he's always just joking around. Okay, let's go. Under Shannon-chan's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. After we got flashbanged, met once again by the magnificent Rose Garden, we continued onward as the intimidating mansion of the Ushiromiya head family came into view. It had apparently been built shortly after the war, so you could feel the dignity of almost a half-century hanging about it. The building was gorgeous on the surface, but old as it was, equipment such as its AC and heating were apparently quite frail. According to Jessica, midwinter was especially tough, what with all the drafts. Haven't these people ever heard of a kotatsu? As we entered the entrance hall, an aged servant greeted us. Now him, I remember. Genji-san, the leader of the servants who work for the Uchinomiya family. He has served Kinzo longer than any other, and is the person most trusted by that old man. Since he serves Kinzo directly, Krause and Natsuki think of him as being a spy for Kinzo, who had been working here longer than anyone, filled the role of the head servant. Osama, it has been quite some time since we last met. As our eyes met, he greeted me with a calm, composed voice. His bow wasn't as graceful or refined as Goda's. Despite its simplicity, it communicated his feelings very well. Genji-san, it really has been a while. Look well. Thank you. I have been quite well. And Battler-sama, you have become a splendid young man, beginning to resemble the master in his youth. You look like grandfather? Guess that means grandfather was pretty popular with the ladies when he was young. Like how I read that line?
No, well, yeah, I do, but I just think it's funny to. I just think this whole exchange is funny.
It's like you look just like my lover.
Yeah.
From here on, I shall take Shannon's place and accompany you. Please, this way. Shannon-chan bowed deeply and watched us leave. After that, we headed towards the dining room under Genji-san's guidance. Genji-san, just like Kumasawa-san, stood in dark contrast to us young people who had grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. His appearance was exactly the same as in my memories from 6 years ago. It was as though time had stopped since we last time we met. Genji-san was an extremely quiet and diligent person. He was basically grandfather's close aide or caregiver. You might even call him grandfather's companion of many years.
There it is again. There it is again!
Yeah, in fact, it seems he was by my grandfather's side even more often than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica,
Whoa.
grandfather trusted him more than any of his blood relatives. I wonder how long he served. I never got the details, but I heard something about him being here since the very beginning, when this mansion was first constructed. Which would mean that he's dedicated half of his life to serving here. Easy to see why he's so trusted. As we passed through a massive hall that extended up into the second story of the mansion with no separating floor, I spotted something that hadn't existed in my memory of 6 years ago.
I love that there's one of these in. I love that there's a big version of this in.
Yeah.
I guess in front of the stairs, I guess, but
Yeah.
there's also a smaller one in Kinzo's room.
Yeah, it's so funny. It was an awfully big portrait hanging right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. Without thinking, I stopped walking, captivated by it. Since I'd stopped so fast, Maria, who was falling behind me, ran into my back.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Hey, Jessica. Who's this ugly broad? I love the idea of Battler just since the beginning, just constantly talking shit about Beatrice. I think it'd be so funny if he just, ever since the beginning, just constantly was like, she doesn't seem like all that.
It would be pretty funny.
Has that picture always been there? I pointed at the big, prominently displayed portrait in the hall. Everyone else stopped too. Oh, right. When you last came here, it hadn't been hung yet, had it? When was it again? Well, if my memory doesn't fail me, it was put on display sometime around the year before last. You are correct, sir. In April of the year before last, the master put it on display here. Having previously ordered a painter to create it. Grandfather did that? So he paid to have it painted just for him, huh? The portrait suited this western mansion, and that woman in the elegant dress gave off a sense of refinement. I couldn't have guessed her age. Her sharp eyes and the strong will she seemed to possess made her look youthful. She seemed somehow different from the composed, middle-aged women you often see in famous pictures. If she'd had normal black hair, I might have assumed it was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, she had beautiful blonde hair and didn't look Japanese at all. So, who the fuck is this?
I love your anecdote.
I think Battler should be able to say fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
Maria answered that simple question enthusiastically, as so proud she knew the answer.
I know. She's Beatrice.
Bea, what? Beatrice. She's a witch. By the way, if you forgot, I'm pronouncing it Beatrice because that's just how I pronounce it.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, I know, I'm a loser.
You're gonna have to start saying Beatrice someday.
I'll get you someday.
Yeah.
Didn't you ever hear stories about her long ago? A witch? You mean, witch of this island? I think I already said this, but Rokkenjima is a small island, only 10 kilometers in circumference. However, that's actually pretty massive, considering that only the Utsunomiya family lives here. But only the harbor and the area around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island remained as untouched as when it was uninhabited. Vast and empty forest had absolutely no lights, phones, or people passing through. To understand how dangerous that is, you need to forget your common sense as a city dweller. After all, if you happen to fall down a hole in the depths of the forest and sprain your ankle, no one would come to save you, no matter how much you cried or screamed. Then, once the sun went down, the forest would be wrapped in complete darkness since there were no streetlights. Since there were no signs, it'd be easy to get lost and confused, losing your sense of direction inside that dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a forest as a peaceful place. The people of bygone eras, before the light of civilization drove out the nights, forests were as geographically separated from civilization as the sea. They were oceans above the ground. Fishermen who go out into the ocean are putting their lives at risk despite their technical knowledge. In the same way, hunters who go out to the forest are in danger despite having specialized knowledge of their own. If children were to go play in such a dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Someone's parents must have thought so. Maybe grandmother first said it, or maybe it was grandfather himself. Or perhaps the story's been passed down on this island since ancient times. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. At some point, this ghost story of Rokkenjima was born. This is the legend of Rokkenjima's witch. That's why, when we talk about a witch on the island, what the fuck? We're referring to the master of that vast and savage forest. Come to think of it, when I stayed at this mansion as a little kid, during those eerie nights when the wind and rain pounded on the windows, I remember being terrified by a story of the forest witch who roamed around searching for human sacrifices. So, Beatrice, huh? When Anaki mentioned it, I searched my memory, and I was sure I recalled hearing a name like that when I was little. I see. Still, I totally forgot that the witch in that legend had an elegant name like Beatrice. But did grandfather go out of his way to have a portrait made just because we grandchildren didn't believe in the story? She's the witch from grandfather's delusion. Ever since he had this picture hanged, he's been having a harder and harder time telling the difference between truth and fantasy. She's just a witch that exists in grandfather's mind. But to him, she's a being that exists on this island. Exists. Said he had the painting made because the rest of us would be incapable of understanding otherwise. The whole thing's creepy as hell. Milady, this portrait is precious to the master. I beg of you, do not say such things in front of him. No. Even if you didn't tell me, I never do something like that. Scott glanced at the portrait with an irritated gaze before turning away. Let's go. Making everyone wait in the dining room.
I'm hungry.
Only a small portion of this island was controlled by the Usulomiya family. All of the lawless remainder was the domain of the witch Beatrice. You might even call her the true ruler of Rokkenjima. I felt a faint revival of that unsettling sense of misfortune, which I'd felt when I learned of the tutelary god's shrine being struck by lightning. And I remember that Kumasawa-san tried to tell an ominous story about Rokkenjima before Jessica stopped her. I don't know what she was planning to tell us about this island, but I do know one thing. It isn't the Uchinomiya family that rules Rokkenjima. The witch Beatrice. Right. For all, this is the witch's island.
Adler, you're slow.
When I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining room. I hurriedly chased after them. We walked up to the huge double doors that led to the dining room. Jason knocked. I have brought the children. Please pardon the intrusion. The doors were opened and we were invited inside. The dining room, which looked exactly like you'd imagine a rich person's dining room to be, had a super long table that was obviously positioned with no purpose other than to make the guests conscious of their rank. Hold on. Now me to click that. Oh god. Alright, we're good. Our parents were already sitting in accordance with that ordering. You're late, rats. Hurry up and take a seat. The bastard pressed us to sit. The only gaps in that group of people were the spots we were supposed to sit, which only made us feel our tiredness all the more. The seats at the head of the table, called the incipitant's chair, was for the most highly ranked, reserved for grandfather. It was still empty. He probably wanted to show up last for dramatic effect. From the perspective of someone facing the incipitant's chair head-on, the seating order went from left to right, with the lower-ranking seats progressing in rows of two further away from it. So, the left-hand side of that first row, closest to the incipitant's chair, was where Uncle Kraus should have sat, since he was the second highest in rank. It looked like he hadn't arrived yet, so that seat was empty. Across from his chair, on the right side of the first row, sat the eldest daughter of the family, Aunt Eva, who was the third highest in rank. Left-handed side of the second row was for the fourth highest in rank. There sat my damn dad, Rudolph, the third of the siblings. Across from him, on the right side of the second row, sat Aunt Rosa, the youngest sibling. At this point, you might expect their husbands and wives to come next. But nope, the left-hand seat in the third row, ranked number 6, belonged to Jessica. Opposite her was George Anaki. I sat next to Jessica, and Maria sat across from me. And finally, next to me on the left-hand side of the fifth row sat Aunt Natsuhi, the 10th highest in rank. Opposite her was Uncle Hideyoshi. Next to Aunt Natsuhi, in the 6th row in the final seat on the left-hand side, sat Kirie-san. The seat opposite to Kirie-san was empty, even though silverware had been set there and everything. According to this ranking system, that spot was where Aunt Rosa's husband should be sitting. Even though he wasn't supposed to be coming, the place was made up. Normally, ranking systems of this sort gave spouses equal positions as their partners, but the Usunomiya family's system was unique. Maybe it's a remnant of male chauvinism. If you start with the assumption that a woman's womb is just something to be borrowed, then the children of direct descent would come first, directly followed by the grandchildren. In other words, spouses have no blood ties and are therefore placed at the end of the line. It's terrible, but by this system, my grandmother would be ranked even lower than me if she were still alive. In their youth, they obey their father. After they get married, their husband. After aging, their children. There's the old saying, women have no home in any realm. Long ago, when I was still incapable of figuring all this out, I thought it was so great that we could all chat in our little groups, adult siblings with adult siblings, and cousins with cousins. However, now that I can re-examine the seating order after growing up a bit, it stirs some very complicated feelings in me. Aunt Natsuhi, who was married to the eldest son and was the de facto number 2 in managing this family, sat to my right, which meant that she was 2 steps lower than me in the ranking order. It was hard to imagine what might be going on inside her heart. That's why I made a small apologetic gesture towards her before sitting down. Nice to see you, Battler-gun. Grown quite tall, haven't you? Oh, yeah. 6 years of eating well, sampling various cuisines, and deriving sustenance from Mother Earth's bountiful gifts. Hard work, but I pulled through.
Who says that?
Rattler.
Yeah.
Growing just like a boy, I see. How tall are you now? It's about 180 centimeters. But that's not Nasiri. That's where you're supposed to say, heck, sounds like all you did was eat. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I really like that it seems like Nasui has a soft spot for Battler.
Yeah.
After a
Who
short,
doesn't?
he just fucking worms your way into your heart.
Yeah. I said who doesn't, but I mean,
Rudolph.
a bunch of people in this visual novel. Yeah.
So many people just fucking hate Battler.
Yeah, but he loves everyone.
Yeah, he just has so
At
much
least he's
love.
nice to everyone. Yeah.
He's just such a cool dude.
Yeah.
And people are like, fuck you.
He's even nice to Ava.
Yeah. And she sure as hell doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
After a short pause, she did laugh with me, but it seemed she couldn't quite figure out what she was supposed to be laughing at. This woman is not Aunt Natsuki. Krause's wife. She manages the household of the Ushiromiya head family in place of her husband, who takes little interest in such matters. She was in charge of all preparations and arrangements for this family conference. She possesses a strong sense of responsibility and a great deal of pride. However, neither her husband nor his siblings understand her very well, so her position is far from enviable. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, meaning she's my father's older brother's wife. Guys, is it simpler if I just call her Jessica's mother? It feels bad to say it like this, but while I didn't exactly dislike her, I didn't particularly like her either. She hardly ever spoke with us kids, and all my memories of her involve her talking to the adults about complicated things with a scary look on her face. In fact, since we hardly ever exchanged words, I spent a long time trying to figure out how I should approach her, but my efforts seem to have ended in failure. Silverware sat neatly on the table, but the meal itself hadn't been brought in yet. As a general rule, you couldn't start a meal until the person sitting at the head of the table arrived. So as long as grandfather didn't come, lunch would be put on hold indefinitely. Not even the appetizer would arrive. Simply put, the silence in this room was caused by her parents enduring their hunger while they waited for grandfather to arrive. However, the grandfather from my memories would always show up on time to meals like this. He was the kind of person who would never be so late that it kept everyone waiting, especially after the entire group had arrived. Grandfather was pretty late. As far as I can remember, he was always strict about time. Well, that might have been true 60 years ago. It hasn't been that way lately. In fact, he's off in his own little world so often that he doesn't even show up at family meals. So, I figured he'd at least come down today. And again, I feel a lot more relaxed and happy with him. Saka. When her mother scolded her, Jessica stuck her tongue out and looked away. No way around it. Might as well wait until our host arrives. When I glanced at the clock, I saw it was almost 12:20. Usuromiya Kinzo! We did it!
We did it. Oh, there's still 2 people left.
Yes, it's fine.
The aged head of the Ushiromiya family. Even though it has already been announced that he has just a few months to live, he is brimming with energy. Though he amassed a vast fortune in the past, he never made any announcements regarding the inheritance, which worries his children. He is strongly influenced by the West and is a rabid fan of the occult. His study is packed with mysterious grimoires.
Alright. The aged family head of the Ushiromiya head family. This man could be seen in his study. The clock had already passed noon. He didn't even attempt to rise from his seat. With his spectacles on, he built up a growing pile of books with elaborate bindings, which he then read intently. You couldn't really say that he was having too much fun to stop. Rather, he filled the room with a sense of impatience, or perhaps a sense of impending danger, as though every second wasted was a tragedy. In this sealed room, a dense dust danced through the air, which was thick with the stench of chemicals that exuded a mix of suspicious odors. Those odors were somewhat sweet and heavy. If anyone with a normal nose came in here, the first thing they'd do would be to open a window and ventilate this room. The knocking against the study door had been going on for a while. A voice calling father sometimes mingled with the knocks. As Kenzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped shut the old book in his hands and slammed it on the table. Then he yelled at Kraus, who was still knocking on the door.
Silence! Enough with that racket, you fool! Who told you the door would be opened if you but knocked? I'll crucify the imbecile. Do you wish to suffer the same fate? Father, this is the day of the family conference, which happens only once a year, is it not? Everyone's gathered down below. Please come out.
Kraus called out to his father through the door. Kenzo always shut himself up in the study, hating it when nearly anyone, even his family, entered the room. For that reason, Kraus had no choice but to call to him from the corridor like this.
Molest me not. Just who is this everyone of which you speak? Do you mean the fools trying to drag me out of here? Then kill them all. Tear them apart, use their bodies for firewood, and feed them into the witch's hearth. Put a pot in that hearth to boil the wormwood. Force the imbeciles who dare try to lure me out of here to drink the broth of the apocalypse. I will soak their dregs in liquor. Where is Genji? Call for Genji. Have my demonic absinthe prepared. The whispering of the green fairy reaches me no longer. Where is Genji? Bring him here. God, he's dramatic.
Yeah. On the other side of the door, Kraus, Nanjo, and Genji waiting for the master of the house, who stubbornly refused to come out.
Looks like he hates me to the core. My voice doesn't reach him anymore.
Kraus shrugged as though saying, "It's no use," and smiled bitterly. In the beginning, he hadn't really expected his father to respond to his calls. However, since it was the duty of the eldest son, he had tried it as a formality. "The son. Your sons, daughters, and grandchildren have come to see you, have they not? Could you just let them see your face, if only for a short while?"
Shut up, be silent. You dare to admonish me, Nanjo. I never told anyone to get you, I told them to get Genji. Now call for him immediately. Time is short, and the apostles are already readying their trumpets, so why can't you foolish sheep understand?
Kenzo slammed an old, heavy book against the table over and over. The racket clearly expressed his great displeasure. Kenzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. He spread his arms wide open, as if to sing to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled,
Why? Why is there always something in my way? I would throw it all away, I would offer up everything, and there is only one thing I ask in repayment. Here we go again. Oh, Beatrice, if I could see your smile but one more time, I would plunder the smiles of the earth and offer them all up to you. Oh, commanders of the legions of locusts, reap the smiles of the earth.
I like to imagine he's yelling so loud, and like the dining hall is like just right below his office, and everyone's hearing him scream, and they're just like, "So, how's it
Average
going?"
day in the Ushiromiya household. Everything is filthy. Everything is irksome. Why must I suffer this impediment on this most precious of days? Call for Genji. I have no idea what he's yelling about. He's probably lost his mind by now.
"Our son, isn't it a bit harsh to say such a thing of your own father?"
My father's already dead. There's nothing here but a phantom of what father once was. At any rate, as long as he has no intention of coming out, there's nothing we can't do. There's nothing we can do.
Kenzo-san. Cooking cots continue to pour from the study.
I'm going back downstairs. It would be a waste to let the fruits of Goda's prized cooking talent get any colder. It's one of the few things our relatives can look forward to when they come to this house.
Kraus spun around. He looked at his watch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted his time doing something he knew would be in vain.
Genji-san. Father is calling for you. Keep him company.
Certainly.
Dr. Nanjo, let's go eat. If we stay here any longer, this sweet stench will ruin our sense of taste.
Without waiting for Nanjo, Kraus went downstairs. Genji urged for Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo glanced between the study door and Kraus's back as the latter disappeared down the stairs, then let out a deep sigh. Sorry, Genji-san. Please allow me to leave this in your hands. Please leave it to me. Do what you can to avoid giving him alcohol. It's a habit that's far too difficult to break.
Is Genji not here yet? Who dares keep Genji from coming? Where's Genji? Call for Genji.
Please, allow me to handle the situation here. Very well. Forgive me. Nanjo bowed slightly and descended the stairs. She watched him leave, then knocked on the study door. Master, it is Genji.
Genji, why have you kept me waiting so long? You're alone, I trust.
Correct. I am alone. Kenzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. After a small delay, the heavy sound of the door unlocking could be heard. Kenzo was convinced that his family wanted to make a mess of his study. Or perhaps someone had once opened the window for some air and ended up scattering things that, to him, were important research materials, leaving him in a terrible mood. Kenzo had outfitted his room with a formidable lock, preventing anyone from entering without his permission, and thereby sealing himself in a jail of his own making. Genji, whom he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that didn't always hold. If Kenzo was in a bad mood, even Genji wouldn't be allowed to enter. And anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, unable even to see Kenzo's face. And most of the time, what they got could hardly be called a conversation. However, this didn't trouble the rest of the family very much. After all, it just wasn't worth the effort to disturb this aging family head, who was impossible to please and always stayed shut away, immersed in his research. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, he supported his isolation, putting his care entirely into the hands of the servants. You there, Rena?
Oh, I just realized I was muted.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you good?
Yeah, Genji, like usual. I'm busy.
Yes, sir. Genji headed to a corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colors were on display. They were actually liquor. But considering the shady atmosphere of this room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison.
It's alcohol, it kind of is.
Yeah, it's absinthe even. Like, oh, that... Inside the study...
Kind of tastes... Oh,
Hmm?
I was just gonna say, absinthe kind of tastes like cough syrup.
Huh.
In my opinion.
What's the legal drinking age in Canada?
It's 19.
How old are you again?
I'm 20.
Okay. I'm awful at ages.
we're the same age.
Yeah, and I'm bad at remembering ages. I forget my own age half the time.
That's fair. Also, the drinking age here is 18 in some places.
Okay. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to be sure, like, so you weren't like fucking reporting yourself. I was gonna be like, you heard, which is exactly what me and my friends do, because we've heard what different alcohol tastes like. We only heard of it
Okay.
because 21 is the legal drinking age here, so we only hear about what alcohol tastes like.
Yeah.
Inside the study, the mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had grown into a mountain. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books, all of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. If you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say, "Call them
Call them
grimoires."
grimoires.
There were also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and molded into strange shapes. One is a penis. The constellation, drawn on a certain celestial globe, contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kinzo didn't have a penis. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kinzo had at least one penis candle
I wouldn't be
around somewhere.
surprised if Kinzo didn't have a penis.
Yeah, me too.
Trans
I mean,
icon Kinzo?
he made all those kids.
Hold on, checking.
Trans icon Kinzo would be pretty funny.
Everyone in this family is trans.
So true.
The carelessly strewn about books contain many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some depicting demonically grotesque subjects or bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. And above all, sweet, poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, it must surely make a person go numb and lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Kenji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in that complex and ornate glass, unless someone first told them it was alcohol. He poured a little into the glass. He placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the transparent water was poured, the dark green liquid turned a cloudy white. It was a strange optical illusion, as though the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. Then, Kenji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There was no recipe. Its success was measured only by Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji many decades to learn how to do it right. Genji placed the glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. By this time, Kinzo was gazing out the window. "Chef, master."
Thank you.
Kinzo had regained his composure, and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a few minutes ago. Looking at this man from behind as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery before the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. It allowed Kinzo to set his glass down at any time. Kenji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left as though he were a living sideboard. Then, without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set it upon a tray, a motion to hand the glass over to Genji.
Drink, my friend.
Your words are too kind for me.
No need for ceremony between us. Drink, my friend.
Thank you. Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. After that, he gulped it down.
I attempted to imitate your concoction, but no matter how hard I try, I cannot replicate the taste. The way you make it is pure relish.
How did you know I put relish in it?
What?
Thank you very much. It's the fruit of your guidance, master. Kinzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old, unshakable habit.
We have grown old together. I stopped counting the years long ago.
It is entirely thanks to you, Master, that I have been able to live like this until today. Kinzo gave a faint smile, as if to say he didn't need any flattery.
Until now, you have served me exceedingly well. My sons call me eccentric. The servants that were once medieval quit in fear of me. Only you serve me even now.
Your words are more than I deserve.
My life will not last much longer. My sons are vultures lazily waiting for my inheritance to fall into their hands. Kraus is a fool who squanders money like water, who throws away 2 gold coins to obtain 1. And then he has the gall to claim that he's earned money. Eva is a slave to money who thinks of me as a mere chicken. When I die, she plans to use my bones to make a broth. That dunce Rudolph just wants to fool around with women. Grows up with a baby of a man who came from nowhere and about whom we know nothing. Jessica is incompetent and uneducated. George has none of what it takes to be a man. Battler is a fool who threw away the honor of the Shiromiya family.
Hey, watch what you're saying about your character foil.
Yeah. And Maria is obscene to the eye. I love how he has how he has so many things to say about everyone else, but he's like, Maria, she's ugly.
She's an ugly little bitch.
Yeah. Why is the Shiromiya blood so incompetent? Is there no one worthy to inherit the glory I built? Ah, of course. I know this is part of Beatrice's curse. I know it.
It is. I know you yawn because you're tired, but it's very funny to imagine Kinzo going on one of his insane rants and he just stops to yawn and then continues.
No, I just yawn sometimes. Huh. You Golden Witch, are you trying to take revenge against me in this way? If you want to hate me, then do so. If you want to run away, then run. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Won't let you go. Won't let you go. You belong to me. You must always be in my arms. For all my life. You must stay at my birdcage for all eternity, whispering only to me. Beatrice. Why won't you smile back at me? Oh. Beatrice. Oh.
After howling, Kinzo choked once again. Kenji set the tray and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Kenji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this.
Thank you, my friend.
When his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kinzo regained his composure once again. It was like seeing 2 different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo, living together, trapped inside one body.
And so, I've decided. I cannot bear to spend my dimmed remaining years procrastinating like this. If I have one final coin to bet, then I choose to abandon it to the whims of the demon's roulette. The power of magic is always determined by the risk of the gamble. Like visiting a shrine at the hour of the ox in ancient Japanese sorcery, to nail a curse doll to a tree. Magical power is produced specifically because of the risk that it will be seen within the 7 days the curse takes. The greater the risk, the stronger the magic power will be. Many miracles that happen in myth might be called the crystallization of shocking magic power, with a low probability of occurrence and astronomical risk. That Moses parted the waters of the sea was not a miracle of God. The risk that desperate situation, cornered by soldiers on the Red Sea shores, weighed upon the scales of slaughter and gave birth to that miraculous magical power. If the same thing occurred again on the same scale, the sea would surely fail to part. After all, Moses was able to magnificently summon a miracle, engraved on but one of the countless, innumerable results on the roulette of those with power. That is the force that can triumph over astronomical odds. Indeed, good fortune that can grasp miracles is magical power itself. To obtain this mighty power, one must face the risk of despair. Those who possess no magical power may call that desperation rather than a bet. However, people who truly do possess magic power can grasp hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. And if that power exists within me, I'll seize that miracle. I'll have a chance at making the wish I devoted my life towards come true.
Denzel looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies.
If only I were capable of grasping that miracle. Oh, Beatrice, Beatrice, show me your lovely smile once more. No matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish.
It's almost like I have a painting of you right next to my desk.
I just want to see your smile, that is all. I'll return everything you granted me. I'll return all the glory I've gained since that day. I don't need fortune or prestige or gold. I'll return everything you gave me. I just want to see your smile. I beg you, Beatrice. Oh.
His nonsensical yells become a scream, and then a wail. Denzel slumped to the floor, staring at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations. Fade to black. Okay. Let's stop there.
Yeah.
I'm like hunched over. My back is hurting.
Oh, yeah. Awful.
Alright. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Umineko. I promise, things are gonna get wild soon.
They're already kind of wild.
More wild. Intense.
Yeah. Thank you for joining, and I think my voice is probably... I think I'm gonna need a glass of water or something.
Alright. I hope you join us next time. Bye.